Salutations. Thank you for joining us on Uncover and Discover You with Coach Carla. I'm so excited to be here with you today and our special guest host, David Hill. Oh my goodness. Today we are going to talk about some very interesting and amazing things. The reason why we have David here, who is an expert in financial literacy, credit management, all things financial. But I have a cautionary tale. I have recently experienced the passing of my father. Mind you, the whole time I can remember, my father always said, I will take care of you if anything happens to me. And I believed it. I believe that's what he said it was going to happen. Just because you say it doesn't mean it's going to happen. You have to put that information on paper. Your family has to know. After it was all said and done, we realized that those things were not done. This is when people that you think you love may become an enemy. It's really sad, but it happens. And we really don't want that. But here today, we're going to talk about how you can prevent those cautionary tales with David Hill. David, please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, thank you, Carla. I truly appreciate being here today. I got into this business because my identity was stolen 4 times. And for anyone who's ever had their identity stolen, even though you're the victim, the credit agencies or credit bureaus, law enforcement, they treat you as you're the perp and not the victim. One of the things that I realized was I wasn't as educated with finances as I thought I was. And a good friend of mine reached out to me and decided, hey, listen, look into this. This might work. And I started thinking about opening up my own credit agency anyway and started doing some investigating, things like that. And I have to say that I'm really happy about it. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, a wonderful program for people, because the one thing that they do not teach us in school is about credit. Credit management, understanding how credit is comprised, how it can help you, how it can hurt you, how you can leverage your credit instead of using cash. Mm-hmm. And I've been in this business now a little over 3 years, and I've learned so much. I continue to learn, but my passion is to be able to just give people that knowledge to be able to make an educated decision on how they want to be able to move on with their life.
Right. You talk about financial literacy. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about what you do with financial literacy.
Well, primarily what I do is I just go around and I talk to people. We have what are called overviews, and we just talk to people and educate them about understanding credit, mm-hmm. setting yourself up and your family for success. The biggest thing that we don't do as people, period, is leave a legacy.
Yes.
There's a small group, about 1 to 3% of the population, that leaves legacy for their children that will go down for generations. And most people don't do that.
Right.
Most people are worried about the here and now. They're worried about the almighty dollar. I need to have this much money in order to live this type of lifestyle. And what we do is we just try to change people's mindset to realize first and foremost, once you get your paycheck, you should pay yourself first, then take care of your bills. We don't pay ourselves first.
No.
And most people, unfortunately, they don't have a savings account. And if they do, they barely have $1,000 in it.
So, when you say pay yourself first, is there a formula? Is there something that they can put together so that they know, how do I pay myself first?
There's not really a formula. What I would just simply say is, you know how much you make every week, mm-hmm. bi-weekly, every month, however you get paid. Bare minimum, take 10% mm-hmm. to get started. We all get raises every year, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 5, 10%, whatever it is. When you get that raise, put that in included. You're already comfortable living off of what you're making now. Why use that raise to kind of elevate yourself a little bit more? Have a nest egg.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people are one paycheck away from being on public assistance, being evicted, having their car repossessed. It doesn't make a difference. But you're one paycheck away. If you get a devastating injury, if your significant other has an injury and you are living on 2 incomes and now you're down to 1 or 1 2/3 of income, it's devastating to people's lives and livelihoods.
I read in a study that you should have between 6 and 12 months of savings. How am I going to get 6 to 12 months of savings, like of my whole expenses? So that is the equivalent of taking 6 to 12 paychecks and just socking them away.
Exactly.
What is the amount you think that people should have for these types of emergencies?
Back in the day, it was 6 months.
Okay.
You hear people who will say 12 months. I really think you should have 18 months, and I'll tell you why. If you have a long-term disability, it usually runs about 12 to 18 months. You need to be comfortable, which means you pointed out perfectly. You have to have 12 months of your salary saved up, 18 months of your salary saved up. Because if you don't, again, let that injury happen, you're hoping that friends and family, churches will be able to help you out, but that's only going to go so far.
Right.
And most of us don't have that rich uncle, father, mother, that type of deal. We have to be ready, and especially if you have children. The last thing you want to do is be out on the street with your children, because now that messes with your psyche and your emotional compass just starts to go down.
Right. And I think when people hear that, it sounds daunting.
Mm-hmm.
Because my first thought is, how am I get this money? How am I going to get 18 months of salary?
Mm-hmm. Start paying yourself. That's number one. Every time you get a raise, you just include that into your payment. Number two, income tax time. Now, this is what happens. Most of us, what we do is we get our taxes and we either are going to pay off bills, pay down bills, or go out and buy a bunch of stuff.
Buy a bunch of stuff. I pick C. Buy a bunch of stuff.
Take at least half of that and put it away. Right. There are so many different ways you can save. If you go online, people will tell you, hey, take a penny and double it every day. Or you want to start an account for your children and you say, okay, I'm going to start with $1 and every day I'm just going to add an extra $1 to that day. There's so many ways that you can get to that 12 to 18 months. You just have to think. First, understand. Second, research. And then third, be willing to do it. That's the most important thing.
I think that definitely is the biggest thing. Now, let's say we hit the lottery and we get this money. We've met with our estate person and CPA. I'm going to make a will. I want to leave X, Y, Z this type of money.
Right.
So I want to make sure that when I go, everybody got a couple of coins, everybody got some money to take care of what they need to take care of. I'm gone. Now they're reading of the will. Now there's a fight.
Right.
What should I have done instead of doing a will? And what is the difference between those two things?
The biggest thing you want to do, and your estate's attorney and your CPA will tell you this, is get a trust. A will is contestable. A lot of people don't know that. But the reality is, because you and I are doing this interview and I'm giving you all this knowledge, if something unfortunate were to happen to you, I could say, well, I talked to Carla. Carla appreciated everything that I said to her. And she told me, you know what, I'm going to give you 25% of your estate. Your estate is valued at $10 million. Now, myself and all of your beneficiaries and family members have to go to probate court. In the state of Ohio, probate court will take, starting, anywhere between 7 to 21% of the value of your estate.
Whew.
The courts are going to get their money.
First, probably.
And then it's up to myself and then your family to prove either that what I'm saying is true
Right,
or what I'm saying is false. Of course, that's not going to happen overnight.
right.
And your estate starts to dwindle. You want to get a trust. A trust is truly the best thing that you can have. If you think about all the rich people, you see movies and you hear them, they all have trust. Trusts are not contestable, they're uncontestable, which means that whatever you put in that trust, ironclad.
Wow.
Now you want to have both. You want to have a trust and a will. The will is, for our program, we call it a pour-over, which means that Carla decides, hey, listen, I'm going to go out and get that Rolls Royce Ghost.
I like it.
I'm driving down the street, and unfortunately you get into an accident, or better yet, let's say not an accident, but you have a heart attack. And I shouldn't say better yet, but unfortunately you have a heart attack. You didn't get a chance to put that ghost into
The trust.
the trust. Well, your beneficiary only has to go to probate court with the trust and that will, and everything that wasn't put into the trust at that time pours over into the will, and it is not contested.
Okay.
So you're definitely taken care of, but you need both of those documents, ladies and gentlemen, a will and a trust. It doesn't make a difference. You don't need a lot of money.
Right.
It could be property. There's been so many times in lifetimes where people have found out later on that their grandparents, great-grandparents, even their parents had property in another state, but they knew nothing about it. And then eminent domain came and sucked it up before you had a chance to really claim it. Put everything in writing. That's how you protect yourself, and that's how you leave a legacy.
What we're saying is this. You need to sit down with everybody and have the most unpleasant conversation of your life. You're not being nosy, and the first person to say, why you being nosy all up in my business? They got something. Watch them. They got something. But you do not want to leave this earth. You in peace, but your family is in turmoil.
Exactly.
Because they are fighting over what you told them they could have, but somebody else stepped in and just executed whatever they wanted to have. Put it in writing. I know it sounds simple. It's that, oh, we can just sit down and talk it out. Make it ironclad. When he says from a will, from contestant, look how many times you've seen it on TV. Families are contesting celebrities' wills. Now, we're talking about maybe a few $1,000s of things, maybe a house and property. These people are talking about millions.
Exactly.
Millions of dollars. So we definitely want to make sure that whatever you have, even if it's not money, it's whatever is sentimental, like this ring. The biggest thing, when my grandmother passed, my father's mother, she was going to give me all her rings, which I don't even understand why, because I never wore rings. But she said, this is what I want you to have, because it came from her mother and her mother. It was just keep passing down.
Exactly.
And I said, great. I got nothing. And then when my father had it, he was going to give it to me. So when I broke into the house, they stole it. So now, had I gotten it in advance, it would have been a safety deposit box.
Right.
Because to me, that is where I put my valuable things. But first and foremost, sit down, have the conversation. We know you don't want to, but you have to. Okay?
Exactly.
We're going to turn to another subject. Credit management.
Yes.
I know we touched on it a little bit,
Mhm.
but that was from the perspective of, managing how your credit, whatever. Now that you got credit, your credit is out of control. You have 10 credit cards, they all maxed out, you're making the minimum payment, and now you get that email, hey, it's time to get your yearly free credit report. Or even worse, you get a call from a creditor. Oh, if you don't pay this bill, we're going to put it on your credit report. And of course, that comedian said, honey, if you can find room on my credit report, please feel free. You might be stapling something to the bottom of that page. How do we get people in a mindset to first think about that before they open too many credit cards?
Well, the biggest thing is education. Unfortunately, right now, the United States doesn't educate us on credit at all. If they do, they just kind of skim over it. But as an adult, your credit report is your report card. I'll say that again. As an adult,
I'm being attention.
your credit report is your report card. And what happens is that people look at your credit report and they pass judgment. Life happens. You could have had some sort of life-altering event that unfortunately your credit report was good. Your scores were, let's say, in the high 7s, low 8s, and now it's down to the mid 5s. Life happens.
It does.
But that person who you're either applying for a credit card, a car, a loan for a house, or even a job is making an assumption on your credit worthiness based on what they see.
Right.
Our company, United Credit Education Services, we educate people to understand the difference between having a bunch of credit cards and understanding the power of credit. Because if your credit score is high enough, you could use your credit score for everything. And you don't have to use cash. You could go into a car dealership if your score is high enough and literally say, I want this car, I want these options, I want my payment to be this much, and for this long, make it happen. And it's going to happen. But if you are in the 5s or the low 6s or something like that, they're going to laugh at you first, behind your back. They're not going to do it in your face. But then what will end up happening is they're going to say, you need to put down $3,000, you need to put down $5,000. And on top of that, your interest rate is 15, 19, 24% on a car that depreciates. You don't want to get into that.
No. What should they do?
There's a couple of things you could do. There are people out there who say, I'm going to try to take care of my credit myself. They will write to credit bureaus, which by right you can do. But if you don't know the correct jargon to put on your letters, it is an uphill battle. There are people out there that have been successful, but the time it took them is longer because, again, you don't know what to put in there. You don't know exactly what to say. There is a law. There's the Fair Credit Report of 1971 that was actually put into law to protect consumers. There's a lot of different things that you can put into your letters that you send to the credit agencies or credit bureaus to have them remove negative or derogatory or even erroneous items off your credit report. Some people who say, hey, my credit score is 570. What they don't realize is that may not be because of things that you have done. It could be mainly because of erroneous information on your credit report. It could be from information that wasn't verified on your credit report. And then once that's removed, all of a sudden you're looking at your credit score shot up to 690, 700, 710, whatever the case may be. That's one option. Another option is that you can go to the debt relief companies who will, for a fee, consolidate all your debt. Is that good? Well, you have one payment, okay, but that's not helping your credit.
Right.
All that's doing is just consolidating your debt, and you're going to hopefully pay it off in whatever your contract is with that company. The third option is going to an organization that specializes in credit repair. And what they will do is they will act on your behalf and write letters to the credit bureau and send them out on your behalf. And you'll start to see your credit score go up. And then the fourth and final option is what our company provides, and that is someone who not only is going to help you get your credit score up, but we're also going to educate you. We're going to give you the tools that you need to be successful in not only raising your credit score, but you'll know how to keep your credit score there, how to protect your identity, what happens if someone attempts to steal your identity, how to have positive trade lines. So this is where the literacy part comes in at.
Right.
Instead of just, hey, listen, I can pay me $100 a month and we'll get your credit score up in 2 months. We'll get your credit score up in 6 months. We'll get your credit score up in a year. That's great. A lot of people will tell you, hey, all you need to do is get your credit score above 660 and that qualifies you for a home. It does, ladies and gentlemen. That is true. But guess what? Your interest rate is 5.9, 7.9,
Yes.
something like that.
It's like 40
And
right now.
with a home, there's a difference. With a car, if your interest rate is 19, 24%, that's a lot. But it's only for 5 years, and it's maybe $30 to $50 added onto your credit, onto your payment. With a home, if your interest rate is even a percent higher, that could be the difference between $100 and $1,000, depending on what it is.
Right.
Usually, it's really about $100 to maybe $200, but that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Over 30 years. So you don't want to fall for that, hey, listen, just get it to 670. No, what you want is to get your score to 750. Realistically, if you can get somewhere between 720 and 750, you are golden. Realtors, mortgage brokers, banks, lenders, all of them will love you because guess what? You're going to qualify.
Right.
You're going to qualify. You'll have less to put down. And again, you're using the power of your credit score to leverage what you can purchase.
Whew. That was a lot because listen, when I think about credit,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that I think about is as I was growing up, I didn't know anything about it. No one taught me. There was, once I moved out, I was not understanding why my lights got cut off.
Right.
Why is my lights turning off? And someone said this, did you pay your bill? What, huh? What do you mean you're not paying my bill? Just like you said, they're not teaching about literacy. They're not teaching people like, okay, so now you're living on your own, you need to go, you have bills and so as I started learning a lot of trial and error,
Right.
then I stumbled into finding out about my credit. Tears, cries, and not in anything positive. Nothing. And I sat there and I made this decision. I'm not gonna pay any attention to it. I'm just gonna pretend like it doesn't happen. But once I woke up and I saw all the damage that I had done, and then trying to repair and go from that perspective. But what I do know is that my student loans are a beast. Is there any way, because you cannot bank, especially if they're federal government, you cannot file bankruptcy on your student loans. They can be forgiven
Mm-hmm.
and paid off. These are your options. Pay them, or pay them.
Right. Pretty much.
That's what you can do with student loans. Can student loans help or hurt you in your credit?
Both, really. If you defer your student loans, which is what most people tend to do, you're doing that in the hopes that once you finish college, you get a job and bam, okay. I deferred my student loans. Most people do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a wise decision. If you could pay a little bit on it, that, in my opinion, would be better
Mm-hmm.
as far as student loans are concerned. Not everyone is in a position, and we understand that, to have grants or someone who's rich, scholarships, someone who's rich who will be able to pay for their undergrad degree. But you have to set your children up for success. There are so many different financial aids, or excuse me, I shouldn't say scholarships and grants out there, but we lack the knowledge to know where to look.
Right.
And what we hope for is either that our children are smart enough to get a great scholarship to a great school, or they're athletic enough to get that.
Right.
But that's 1 to 5% of the student population. The other 95 to 99% are, I just want to get a degree and I want to make a life for myself.
Right.
We also have a scholarship campaign that's actually going on right now through December 15th. College freshmen or high school seniors are eligible for this. And what happens is they go to the website, they answer some questions about financial literacy, and then they write an essay.
Are there any other programs that you think our viewers will be interested in knowing?
There's actually 12 benefits in our package that we have. But the most important thing is, do you see the value in it? When you're going out, if you have credit issues, find what works for you.
Right.
What I can tell you is that our program, for the money that you invest in yourself,
Right.
you may be paying our company, but this is an investment in yourself. And I tell people all the time, you can never go wrong when you invest in yourself, and that's a true statement.
That is true.
When you are sitting there saying and looking at this video and saying to yourself, I know I need some help. The question is, do you want that immediate help and just get your credit together? Or do you want that long-term help?
And I think that is very important.
Exactly.
David, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, I have a website. You can go to my website. It's www.ucesp.net/D H ILL3.
David, I want to thank you for being here. Any products or information you have, we would love to upload it on our website. So that way they can get that information. They're going to see this video. They're going to have some questions. They're going to ignite some conversations.
Exactly. And that's what it's about, ladies and gentlemen. Just let this seed that I planted, grow. It's up to you to cultivate it.
Right.
And really, that's what it is. The main purpose for me was not so much to promote my business, was just to give you a little bit of knowledge for you to be able to do your own research.
Yes, indeed. I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We look forward to seeing the greatness and the things that you're going to be doing in the future, because I'm going to have to call you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Carla. Thank you so much.